Everything you desire is waiting for you to claim it. There's no creating involved, only invention through imagination and building through action. You are at the center of all your desires, dreams, and achievements. Welcome to Designing Your Life Today, the podcast that's all about your success, achieving your goals, building wealth through your business, and building your most passionate, powerful, magnificent life. Discover ways to use your purpose to connect you to serving others and living your dreams. I am Pat Council, and I know you are built by design to win. And it all begins with knowing how to tap into your success energy. Let's get on the path of discovery, decisive action, development, and unwavering dedication to your life's calling. It's time to embark on a transformative journey where your deepest passions become your most rewarding achievements. Embrace your power to shape your destiny, because this is your moment to do life with power. Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and on Designing Your Life Today, I am going to talk about how mistakes can improve your condition. First of all, when it comes to winning, when it comes to achieving a goal, it is very difficult for you to win without making mistakes. A lot of times we don't want to make those mistakes. We don't feel good about making mistakes. So when we step out to do something, we step out there fearfully. And when you're being fearful, whether you realize it or not, you're not going to make the kind of progress that you had hoped for. Why? Because in order for you to do something that you've never done before, it requires faith on your part. And if you're stepping out there in fear, you have pretty much stifled the spiritual law of faith. And as a result, you're not going to move forward. As a matter of fact, you're going to either stay stagnant or you're going to just flat out quit. And even if you stay stagnant, eventually you're going to quit anyway, because you're going to think you're not getting any results, which you aren't, because you are operating in fear because you're afraid to make a mistake. A lot of times we don't want to make a mistake because we're thinking that, you know what, if I make a mistake, this will stop me from getting to where it is I desire to be. This is going to stop me from achieving the goal that I desire to achieve. Well, sometimes things, how we think, we have to think counterintuitively, because the truth of the matter is, we think that mistakes might break our momentum, when in fact, a mistake can actually help you create momentum. So does that make sense? Not really, but let me see if I can explain it. So when it comes to making a mistake, we think it's going to push us further back. But what happens is when you get on, let's say, the wrong path, you're going in the wrong direction, that's taking you away from the goal that you desire to achieve. Things are not going to go well for you. They're not going to happen in the way you had hoped. They're going to go wrong. And to the point, for some people, to the point of exhaustion, where you're thinking, you know what, I give up. And so just for that moment, when a person decides that they're going to give up, what we call giving up, sometimes that is a point of surrender. And at that point, when we surrender, that means we're no longer trying to strain and struggle to make something happen. So when you're no longer straining and struggling to make something happen and you've surrendered, then all of a sudden now, the plan, the idea, the goal that you have, all of a sudden the ideas can get through. Or the step-by-step instructions, or the spiritual guidance that you need in order for you to make something happen will come through. Have you ever heard a person say, you know what, I was just about to give up, and I was pretty much done with this, and then all of a sudden, I got this great idea, and I decided to do this one more thing, and all of a sudden things started to take off. Things started to happen. It is because you saw what you need to do or what you needed to stop doing and what you needed to start doing. And that is where you start to gain your momentum. So don't be afraid to make a mistake. When it comes to making a mistake, it is important that you not necessarily do it on purpose, but that you don't stress over it so much when you do make a mistake, that you don't allow your ego to cause you to take yourself so seriously to the point where you believe, oh my goodness, I shouldn't make that kind of mistake. Me, that should never ever happen to me. Well, you know what? I remember having a talk with myself. This was many years ago, and I haven't made any mistakes lately. But throughout my life, I think I've made my fair share, and my life's not over. So there may be more. I hope not, but we'll see. But if they are, I hope they're catapulting me to the next level each and every time. But the point that I'm making, once when I made a mistake, and the mistake I'm talking about is in when I was trying to decide if I wanted to stay in real estate when the real estate market crashed. And I've shared this story before, so I'm not going to go into it again. However, I will get to the point so that we can talk more about how you can use mistakes to improve your condition. And when I made that mistake, I remember kind of being so crushed to the point where I was on my couch. And I've told the story where I've had the chips and the Ben and Jerry's. And so they were my best friends at the time. And so I was just, I didn't want to go forward. However, I had to talk with myself. And one of the things I said to myself is, you know what? Who do you think you are that you can't make a mistake? Why do you think that everything has to be so perfect? Why do you think that you can't have something happen to you that is unpleasant or something that you don't want to deal with? Well, you know what? Face it, deal with it, accept the fact that within this mistake, on the other side of that mistake are some amazing opportunities waiting for you. So this is how you can see a mistake, or view mistakes that happen to you in your life and recognize that, wait a minute, this is taking me to something more. Now, here's a caveat. I will say you have to be honest with yourself. If a mistake, it's not a mistake when a business or a relationship or any kind of thing, anything, your health or anything fails because you didn't do what you were supposed to do and you knew what to do. Okay, that's just you making whether it's a conscious decision or unconscious decision, that's just you saying, you know what, I just didn't do it. But you know what? Here's the beauty of it. It's okay. You regroup and you get back in the game. All right. So I wanted to kind of point that out. A mistake to me is when you do something that you didn't intend to do, that you didn't really realize you were doing it at the time, but you did it. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things that we can do, and we knew that was not the right thing to do, but we did it anyway. So with that being said, either way, you can regroup and readjust and realign with the spiritual principles and universal principles that exist that will allow you to move forward. Well, this is kind of why the Bible says that if a man repents, that his sins are blotted out and remembered no more. So you do get a do-over. So this is why I think it's important to learn from the mistake. And when I say learn from it, not in terms of, well, I'm not going to do that again. Okay, yeah, you do need to learn that perhaps. But you want to learn, okay, what is the real lesson? What was this mistake trying to teach me? Which direction is this mistake trying to send me? For example, a person who is failing in business or at anything, a lot of times they can be chased to an attitude that is anything but positive. It can be chased to a negative attitude. Whereas a change in the attitude toward the outcome, it means that you have to make that shift. It means that you're going to stop thinking and acting in the wrong way. You're going to stop using wrong thinking. You're going to switch over to right thinking. So mistakes can allow you to gain momentum, because a mistake is what sends a message to you that, hey, you're on the wrong path. And in order to get on the right path, you have to have right thinking. You have to know which law of success that you need to activate. And you go, well, wait a minute. I don't know all the laws of success. What are they? Well, even if you don't know, as human beings, this is the beautiful part of life. As I said, we're built by design to win. If you're going in the wrong direction and you're not getting the results that you desire, then guess what? You can make the shift to the other side, go in the other direction. And if you say, well, I don't even know how to turn around or what to do when I go in that direction, that's the beauty of being teachable and trainable. Connect with someone who can help you get to where it is you want to be, or at least who can give you some insight. We think that, okay, I'm speaking for you and you're going to have to forgive me for that because you may not even be thinking what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'll say it like this. A lot of times there are people who think that because they're adults, that another adult can't share some wisdom with them that's going to help them. A lot of times that's what we think. And as a result, we say silly things like, well, this is just who I am. I know myself. You know what the funny thing is when people say they know themselves and they're not winning? And I want to ask them so badly, but I don't because it might be rude. I want to ask them, well, if you know yourself and you're not winning, what you're saying is you're making a conscious decision not to win. And you actually like that feeling of not winning. Well, if that's the case, why are you complaining? So think about this. In other words, make the mistake, make it, okay? And recognize that it can help you improve your condition by causing you to reverse the way you think and to reverse the way you act. And you're going to act in a different way such that when you change the flow of your success energy, the flow of the direction that you're going in, you're going to align with the kind of spiritual laws that will allow you to succeed. Now, I want to say this to you, whether you're negative or positive, you're operating under the same spiritual laws. And it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you're thinking negative thoughts, if you're behaving and coming from a position of fear, you're getting the results from those thoughts and from that behavior. It's the same law. But if you change your thinking, then all of a sudden, you've changed the flow of the direction of your success or the outcome that you're looking for. So instead of limiting yourself and punishing yourself, or instead of feeling like you're being punished or feeling like you're being limited by saying, oh, there just isn't enough, there isn't enough money, there isn't enough whatever. Instead of doing that, all of a sudden, because you've changed the direction of your thoughts, you're all of a sudden, you're feeling more free, you're feeling more capable, and you are feeling as though, everything is coming up roses for you. Everything is going in the right direction, the direction that you desire. And that's what we call being blessed. You see, the law of how you're thinking, it's still the same. It's just that you change your attitude to send you in the right direction. So this is how making mistakes can improve your condition. It allows you to go above the current condition that's not taking you where you desire to be, that's not bringing you the outcomes. It's kind of like the person who makes the first mistake. All right, you made a mistake. That's okay. The object of the game was for you to look at this and see, all right, what can I learn from this and how can I do something different? And if you do something differently, then you're going to get a different outcome. As opposed to doing the same mistake over and over and over and thinking that you are going to get a different result. In other words, what you're doing is you're trying to force spiritual laws to align with your thinking. You're trying to force any kind of universal laws where that might apply. You're trying to force it to align with your thinking. In other words, universal law, fire is hot. So you trying to make things fall in line because you want them to. First of all, they're super controlling. But you trying to do that is the same as if you were to put your hand in hot fire or put your hand on a hot stove and go, yeah, I know it's hot, but you know what? I want it to be cold as ice. And it's going to be that. Yeah, that kind of violates the universal law. I think fire is meant to be hot and it's made that way for a reason. So it's not a universal law that we can change. Okay, so that's why I wanted to give you that example, because I don't want you to think that I'm kind of using universal law and spiritual law in the same vein, because I'm not. They're different, completely different. So if you have a condition that's happening in your life and you don't want it to happen, and it's created, or I should say attracted, because as human beings, there are things, everything we want has been created. And it's happening to you. You don't want it to happen. You don't want that condition to stay. Then it's up to you to start looking towards the other side. So part of that would be seeing it the way you desire it to be. Okay, call those things that be not as though they were. So another biblical scripture. So when you start to see things as you desire, not as they are, and I know a lot of times that's not easy for some people. Okay, it's not easy. It's not easy for me, and let me throw my own caveat towards myself. There was a time when it wasn't easy at all. Now it is a lot easier. And the only time it isn't easy for me is perhaps when I'm going towards something new, but because I renew my mind daily, I get back on track. And that's how it works. You have to put yourself back on track. And if you can put your mind or your thinking back on track, then you will remember, don't look at how it is, remember to see how you would like it to be. You will spend that time, let's say, visualizing the best outcome. And here's another caveat, is that we hear a lot about visualization. That does not mean you can sit and visualize and not do any work. You've got to do some work to support that. This is what moves everything forward, the actions that you take. And this is what supports the idea that you're serious about the goals that you set. And now, and even if you say, well, I'm doing stuff and I'm just not getting any results, there again, it means that you have to change your thinking. And if you don't know what to change your thinking to, or how to think about that thing, then perhaps you need to connect with someone that can help you. Now, understand this, you are responsible 100% for your own thoughts. Sometimes you can give a person the answer, and I've done this, okay? I'm saying, okay, we see the problem, let's take a look, we go through it. And I show them, this is why you're not getting the results. And they go, yes, that's it. And then you know what they do? They go right back to doing what they were doing before they got the answer. So what they're doing is they're reinforcing the mistake. Under those conditions, the mistake will not improve your life. But mistakes are designed to help you get on the right track so that you can gain momentum. They're designed to help you get on the right track so you can improve your conditions. If you don't like your life, then all the mistakes are sending you a message that you need to learn to do something differently. And believe me, as I said, I've made my fair share of mistakes throughout my life. There are a lot of things I had to learn through trial and error, and I've mentioned this before. And so when that mistake happened, I make some promises to myself. Oh my goodness, I'm not going to ever let this happen to me again. So let me see, what is it I need to learn that I didn't know before? I think people, and I want to say it like this. Because people are so afraid to make a mistake, and they're so afraid to be seen making a mistake in this day and time, because people criticize so harshly as though they've never made any mistakes, but they still do it. I think as a result, no one takes the time, or a lot of people don't take the time to look at the cause. Okay, what caused me to make this mistake? And how can I prevent this? Or how can I change this? Or how can I cause this to shift? People who aren't making a lot of money, they think they're going to end up making more money or having enough money by perhaps taking it from someone else. And you know what happens? Those very same people who do that, they end up being broke anyway, again. And the reason why is because the thinking is off. They don't have right thinking. You see, it doesn't matter. They can steal $1 million, and before you know it, they're broke again. There's so many stories about people who won the lottery. And what happens is they end up having so many problems, and they they end up being broke again. Okay, right back where they started. And that happens because there has to be a certain kind of thinking. There was no momentum. There was no right thinking. There was no right action. Okay. And I'm not saying playing the lottery is wrong. The right actions I'm talking about is learning how to have a wealth mentality. That's what I'm talking about. And acting on that kind of mentality. So if you really want to improve your conditions, take a look at the mistakes and be honest about them. You don't have to go and tell the whole world. You don't have to tell anybody if you don't want to. If you do choose to tell someone, choose someone that's going to help you and support you, not someone that's going to say, see, told you so. That's a waste of time. But if you want to improve your conditions, then all you have to do is kind of drop the undesired thing from your thoughts. Forgive yourselves for making the mistake and start new. That doesn't mean you have to completely start your business over. I'm talking start with a new plan. Okay. And never ever think about what you did wrong again. You know, this is the only thing I guess I find to be annoying as well about the internet, and also actually some holidays that we have, is it constantly reminds people of yesterday and not in a good way. Okay. And on the internet, of course, oh my goodness, once a video gets out there about somebody, that it just goes on and on and on. And then they bring it up almost like every year. It's like they're searching for new news, but it's up to the individual. If that's being done, it's up to that individual to tune it out and say, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to have this conversation, because believe me, people will try and take you backwards and try and have that kind of conversation with you. So you want to, as I said, get rid of the undesired thing from your thought, forgive yourself and start over. Okay. And never thinking about it again. Let it go once and for all. Okay. Don't continue to feel badly about it. All right. If you feel badly, do it once and then get it out of your system. Okay. And then kind of move on from there. That's kind of how it works if you want things to go forward. The mistakes that you make, or let's say have made, they're designed to teach you more and to help to actually help mold you and mold your thinking so that you can go towards your desires, so that you can actually align with your true purpose for being here on this earth, so that you can fully express your life in a way that you're excited about it. You're excited about what's happening in your life, and you see what you're truly made of. You see how capable you are. See, this is the kind of power that exists in us, that God put in there, and we want to use that power. And it's just sad that people use their thinking to try and to get around the system, or to try and outsmart someone. And I'm not here to judge that, to each his own, but the point I'm making here is that when this is done, are you getting the outcome that you were after? If you're not getting that outcome, then what happens is you're going to end up seeing that this was a mistake, the thinking, the thought process, even the actions, and you're going to see that you're not getting what you desire, or you're not going to get what you desire. But at the end of the day, as I said, you want to regroup, let it go. Okay, don't beat yourself up about it. Mistakes happen. You don't move forward and you don't get momentum by beating yourself up. You stay stagnant, you stay in the same place, and that's a very miserable life. I can't tell you some of the people I've met that want to complain about things that happened, 20 years ago. It's of no value, because nothing can be done. And if something can be done, by all means, get it done. But it's so important to move on. So with that being said, I hope that you got a better picture of not only how mistakes can really boost your momentum, but also how mistakes can inspire or improve your condition in life. So think about these things. So if you think about the mistakes you've made, I would say make a list on a sheet of paper, ball it up, throw it away, and say, you know what? It's you acting out that you are tossing those things away. Make a decision you're going to do something very different. You're not going to make those mistakes again, and keep moving toward the bigger, better life that you deserve. This is a part of doing life with power. And also remember that when mistakes happen, that it's not going to break your momentum. It's actually going to help you create or give your momentum a boost. Because if you're making mistakes, you've lost some momentum. Okay. So never ever think that turning around and going in the right direction is killing your momentum. It's not. And you're going to go even faster because now you know exactly what to do. Listen, you guys, that's all I have for you today on this magnificent Monday. I want you to have a magnificent day and do life with power, knowing you're built by design to win.